Good, that works. Now the final bit is to share the screen and the sound and the player. Okay. Right, so I'll just press the button, start button now, really, 3, 2, 1, and we'll see what happens.
Great.
Witam serdecznie Państwa, nazywam się Bartłomiej Kowalczyk i witamy serdecznie, już ponad 50-60 osób jest, widzę na callu. Webinar poświęcony sprzedaży w Wielkiej Brytanii na Amazon. Mamy tutaj gości anglojęzycznych. Mam nadzieję, że tutaj wszyscy nas słyszą i widzą, bo testujemy różnego rodzaju rozwiązania techniczne. Webinar potrwa około godziny 30 minut. Jest jednym z wielu webinarów, które organizujemy dla polskich firm, które są zainteresowane rynkiem brytyjskim. Kilka takich słów technicznych. Ja nazywam się Bartłomiej Kowalczyk, prowadzę PBLINK. Jesteśmy organizacją, która wspiera biznes, organizuje eventy oraz przede wszystkim łączy interesy różnych ludzi. Jak będziemy się organizować i w jaki sposób będziemy tutaj organizować ten webinar, w jaki sposób najlepiej wykorzystać jego. Więc pierwsza rzecz, którą chciałbym wspomnieć, mamy przycisk Q&A. Ten webinar jest dla Państwa, więc zapraszam do zadawania pytań. Można zadać po polsku, po angielsku, będziemy tłumaczyć, nie ma problemu. Druga sprawa, mamy ten element czatu, więc zapraszam do tego, żeby komentować. Proszę w ogóle proszę o informacje, skąd Państwo są w ogóle. Proszę podać, nie wiem, z których miejsc w Polsce, w Wielkiej Brytanii są Państwo, tak żebym ja tu widział, że w ogóle ktoś tutaj jest. Jeżeli wysyłamy czat, to mamy opcję do nas, do hostów i panelistów, wyślijmy do wszystkich, everyone jest taka opcja, więc ja tutaj czekam na jakieś informacje, czy w ogóle ktoś tam po drugiej stronie ekranu jest. Nagrywamy, webinar jest nagrywany, więc potem wszyscy Państwo będą mogli do tego wrócić spokojnie. Co jeszcze? Pytania, przede wszystkim pytania, jeszcze raz pytania przygotujcie, chcemy być konkretni w tym, co tutaj robimy i ten czas, który jest poświęcony na naukę, wykorzystany bardzo dobrze. To tyle ode mnie, ja bym chciał przedstawić teraz na krótko panią Marzenę Kwaśną, która pracuje w zagranicznym biurze handlowym Polskiej Agencji Inwestycji i Handlu, o krótkie przywitanie oraz informacje, w jaki sposób PAECH pomaga Wam tutaj na miejscu w Wielkiej Brytanii.
Dzień dobry Państwu. Nazywam się Marzena Kwaśna i jestem Business Development Managerem w Polskiej Agencji Inwestycji i Handlu. Polska Agencja Inwestycji i Handlu jest polską agencją rządową zajmującą się wsparciem dla polskich eksporterów, wsparciem dla inwestycji na terenie Polski oraz polskich inwestycji na rynkach międzynarodowych, a także promocją polskiej gospodarki. Działamy w 60 stolicach na rynkach międzynarodowych i obsługujemy swoją działalnością ponad 70 krajów. Także bardzo mocno staramy się dla polskich eksporterów. W pierwszym półroczu 2023 roku pomogliśmy w zawarciu 333 kontraktów eksportowych o łącznej wartości 113 milionów polskich złotych, a także pomogliśmy w zawarciu inwestycji o wartości łącznie 4,94 biliona euro, przyczyniając się w tym również do zwiększenia ilości stanowisk polskich stanowisk pracy o prawie 10 tysięcy nowych pracowników. Ale prawdę mówiąc, to nie my jesteśmy tutaj godni podziwu, ponieważ to państwo, polscy przedsiębiorcy, jesteście najbardziej godni uznania za to, że to wy podejmujecie swoje decyzje o ekspansji. My zajmujemy się pomocą i jesteśmy świadkami waszego sukcesu. Dzisiejsze webinarium jest właśnie jedną z takich formuł wsparcia, pomocy informacyjnej dla państwa. Dostarczymy państwu informacje na temat największej brytyjskiej platformy online, Amazon. I muszę tutaj powiedzieć, że jest to właściwie muszę to przyznać, że na rynku Wielkiej Brytanii Amazon jest takim niesamowitym ewenementem z tego powodu, że prawie każdy dorosły Brytyjczyk z dostępem do internetu, czyli około 36 milionów ludzi, ma konto na Amazonie. I właściwie Amazon jest pierwszym miejscem, do którego przyjdzie, ażeby się dowiedzieć o produktach, o cenach, o tym, co można kupić. Sklep być może jest pierwszym miejscem, do którego pójdzie, natomiast Amazon jest pierwszym miejscem, do którego będzie chciał dostać się online, ażeby dowiedzieć się i najczęściej oczywiście dokonać zakupu. Z tego powodu, że Amazon jako pierwszy wprowadził wspaniałe logistyczne rozwiązanie, które pozwala na dostarczenie produktu na drugi dzień, rozwijając własną sieć. Oczywiście państwo doskonale o tym wiecie. Natomiast ja powiem z własnej praktyki, że działa to doskonale. Sobota, niedziela, dzień następny, produkt jest na naszym progu. Także jeszcze przed naszym webinarium zastanawiałam się chwileczkę i badałam statystyki, czytałam nieco więcej na temat, ile tak naprawdę ludzi korzysta z Amazona, czy to tylko ja jestem takim zachwyconym klientem. Przeczytałam taką informację, powtórzoną wielokrotnie, 350 milionów wejść miesięcznie na Amazon, co oznacza po krótkim przeliczeniu, że jest to około 15 kliknięć, 15 wejść na Amazon każdej sekundy, każdego dnia i nocy. Także proszę sobie wyobrazić, jaki jest to potężny dostęp dla państwa. Nie musicie państwo negocjować, zawierać kontraktów, przeszukiwać rynku. Jeżeli państwo będziecie mogli wystawić swoje produkty na brytyjskim Amazonie, to macie natychmiastowy dostęp do takiej potężnej rzeszy klientów, którzy mogą stać się waszymi klientami. Już nie wspomnę o tym, że promujecie również swoją markę w ramach posiadania po prostu konta na Amazonie. Ale nie będę odbierać głosu naszym wspaniałym prelegentom. Thank you so much, Nick and Robert, for being with us. I'm giving you the floor in a moment because probably Bart, would you like to add few words, or we'll give the floor to Robert and Nick?
Yeah, Marcela, just before we go, I just want to say everyone that I've just noticed quite a lot of people, you said that you're from different parts of the world, which is fantastic, but please use the chat window instead of Q&A. Q&A is the specific question for our guests. Proszę używać czatu do rozmowy, a Q&A do zadawania pytań, to byłoby super. Tam jest taka ikonka czat, żebyśmy rozmawiali, a Q&A do zadawania pytań. Czat jest wyłączony, ok? Popracujemy nad tym. Bardzo dobra rzecz, tutaj dziękuję za informację. Before we go, Nick and Robert, I have to say, I have received just about 10 minutes before this parcel. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. So as Marzena did mention, I think everyone is on Amazon, and I would like to say that many businesses maybe consider to use Amazon, but me as a user, I would like to prove this is something that I'm receiving probably on a daily basis now, more my wife rather than myself, I have to say. But floor is yours. The topic of discussion is how to sell on Amazon from the Polish perspective, and we have plenty of different insights from you, Nick, Robert. Floor is yours.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Bart. And I hope you were a delighted customer with your Amazon experience. That's what we aim to do. So yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for having us here and allowing us to run you through sort of an overview of how you can sell on Amazon, sell into the UK, and hopefully make it a success. So there are quite a few points we will try and cover. but we won't be able to cover everything, so we've kept it relatively top line. We're trying to answer some of the questions that were pre-submitted throughout the presentation, and if we don't cover those well enough, hopefully we can come back to them at the end. But what we've also tried to do to make sure you have everything available to you is we've added links to helpful pages at the end of this presentation, which I believe will be shared with you after. So great. If we're able to share the slides, please, and we can get started.
Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
There you go.
Perfect. Great, yeah. So the topic for today is how to sell on Amazon UK and leverage Amazon fulfillment. So next slide, please, Bart. So some introductions firstly. I'm Nick. I'm a new account manager here in the Amazon business team. So what that means is Amazon Business is the team here that oversees everything B2B on Amazon. It's a very exciting space, one of the fastest growing parts of Amazon, and something we'll come back to in a little bit more detail later. And I work with sellers who are going to be important, strategic to our business customers on Amazon, and help them onboard and grow on Amazon in their early stages. And I know, Rob, if you're happy to give yourself a quick introduction as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Dzień dobry Państwu. My name is Robert Kozlowski, and I work alongside Nick, but we actually don't work together. I work as a reseller lead and account manager at Amazon Business. So that's basically everything that you love about Amazon, but for business. That's how we basically sell ourselves to the wider audience to help understand what we do. So my day to day is really working with the B2B customers, and yeah, as Nick was saying, obsessing about the customer needs and making sure that you are satisfied every single day. So passing over back to Nick.
Great, thank you, Rob. And if we have the next slide, please, Bart. Great, thank you. Unfortunately, it's come through with some strange color down the list there, but here's the agenda of what we'll try and cover briefly. So first, we'll give you a very, very brief background to Amazon. I'm sure it's a company everybody's familiar with, and hopefully even familiar with as a customer, if not a seller yet. Then we'll give a little bit of information on why you would want to sell on Amazon, the benefits there, and what a good case scenario can look like. Then we'll move on to the more practical steps of how you can begin to sell on Amazon. So that, of course, starts with registration, and we can run you through the process there and what that will look like, both if you were to be registering in the UK or if you were to be registering in the new Polish marketplace. Then, as we're aware that in the audience, there are quite a few people who are responsible for brand owners. And so that gives you entitlement to certain sort of rights and privileges on Amazon over your product. So we'll run you through briefly what it looks like to be a brand owner on Amazon, how you claim the rights to your brand, and what benefits that entitles you to. Then we'll move on to, again, a more practical step of how you can list your products on Amazon. That's something where there are actually multiple routes available. And again, we'll give you a brief overview of how you can go about that. Then we'll move on to the fulfillment side of things. So how your products end up delighting a customer and being delivered to them. And again, there seems to be quite a bit of interest in how you can use fulfillment by Amazon, whereby you're sending your products into an Amazon warehouse, and then Amazon takes care of the delivery. Then something Rob and I will be passionate about, we'll move on to Amazon Business. So how you can sell B2B on Amazon, and then what features there are in place specifically for business customers that make shopping on Amazon a great experience for them, how you can offer those features, and how you can give the best offer for quantity discounts, make sure there's a smooth process when it comes to invoicing, all these kind of things. And as mentioned already, that is very much what Rob and I do day to day. Then we can have a quick Q&A. If there are any questions we hadn't answered, we'll come back to, or perhaps provide some clarity on what we've gone over. And then finally, the last slide provides links to helpful pages on Amazon that covers a lot of what we would have just gone through, and there will be even more there. So one thing I would actually say I think Amazon does really quite a good job for is having resources and materials available to sellers to educate yourself on whatever it may be. Okay, great. So then without further ado, let's get started. So a brief history of Amazon. I'm sure it's something a lot of you are familiar with. And of course, it starts with classic tale of a founder in a garage in America. So of course, it was Jeff Bezos who founded Amazon in 1994. And at the time, it was solely operating in America. But then, as you can see, there was expansion. So Amazon launched here in the UK in 1998. So we celebrated our 25th anniversary here in the UK just the other week, actually. And then one of the most exciting and latest additions is the marketplace in Poland, which launched in 2021, alongside a few other European expansion countries. And in the meantime, as you can see on the right, not just has Amazon been growing globally to new countries, but also they've expanded the offering to customers. So what you have there is in 2000, really a very big addition to Amazon, and something very relevant for sellers tuning in today was the launch of the Amazon Marketplace in 2000. So that allowed, whilst previously Amazon was the only seller on the website. If you were buying a product, it was one that Amazon owned, Amazon stored, Amazon delivered. And in 2000, by creating the marketplace, they allowed third-party sellers onto the site, which means you could list your products there, and it gets the same visibility, it's the same page as you would see for an Amazon product. So that was in 2000. And then in 2006, Amazon offered fulfillment by Amazon, which allows those third-party sellers to use Amazon's fulfillment network. So that's the warehouses, and then those vans that, at least here in London, you see driving around everywhere with the blue ticks on the back, delivering your parcels to customers. And then in 2007, there was the launch of Amazon Prime. So again, I'm sure that's something we're probably familiar with, the subscription service for customers that sees them get that next day delivery promise. And now, I mean, the offer has been growing to streaming site, and even here in the UK, you can now watch some Premier League games and everything through that Amazon Prime membership. Great, so that's just a little bit of background. And then if we could have the next slide, please, Bart. So yeah, here we have really the key points on why you may want to sell on Amazon. So again, as I'm sure we're all aware, Amazon is a huge marketplace that gives you access to millions of customers. So that's, of course, both the case across Europe, where Amazon has a presence and marketplaces in many countries now. So while it started off earlier with Germany, France, Italy, Spain, as mentioned, there's now more countries being added to that list. So Poland, and there's also now Netherlands, Sweden, Belgium, I'm sure I'm missing out some, as well as, of course, the UK. So across that, you can reach millions of customers. And as we would hope here at Amazon, the site is hopefully the go-to for many customers when it comes to buying anything. And then the second, again, is, again, a big part of what drives Amazon, creating a great customer experience. Through using fulfillment by Amazon, you obviously have the practical part of fulfillment taken care of, and it's through a really great customer experience. But again, we know customers love to see that next day delivery promise, and yeah, we hope, like Bart this morning, it creates for many happy customers. And then, of course, through that, it's something we hope can really benefit your business by unlocking a whole new sales channel that you may not have been leveraging before, and it can be a great opportunity to grow your business.
Before we move on to the next slide, I just wanted to add one thing that, Nick, obviously you've touched on in terms of reaching millions of customers. Recently, I was reading an article that was shared by the Amazon UK country director, John Bamfrey. He mentioned that Amazon UK as a marketplace, it's not only a marketplace where you as a seller can reach only British customers. A lot of customers that do not live in the UK and they don't have a local Amazon in their market. So, for example, I don't know, customers in Middle East,
Mm.
customers in, let's say, in Africa, that they actually don't have Amazon in their home market. They would go to Amazon US or Amazon UK as the first Amazon to actually check what kind of products are available, and they would actually buy on Amazon UK, although they are not based in the UK themselves. So it's a great opportunity, not only to from your point of view, to export to the UK, but you can also export to other countries through Amazon UK.
Yes, no, that's a really good point, and perhaps that's something some people viewing in today may be aware of. Before there was the Polish marketplace, you may have found that you were buying things that would be delivered to you in Poland, but you were buying them on Amazon Germany or Amazon France. Something I'm familiar with. Up until the launch of the marketplace in Belgium, I have some family who live there in Brussels, and they would always be buying off Amazon DE, the German marketplace. So it's not the case that by listing on, say, the Polish marketplace, that you are exclusively just shipping to Poland. It's just that's the domain, that's the marketplace, even if shipment outside of that country is available. So yeah, it's a good clarification point there.
Shall we ask the questions that we have for our audience at this point?
Yes, I'm having a look through to see if there are any that would be good to answer now in the Q&A. I think perhaps they may be at this stage ones.
The poll, Nick, I was referring about the poll, the questions that you can ask the petition to vote for.
I see.
So I'll just stop sharing the screen maybe and just ask the questions about how people are using Amazon so we can move forward. Okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think you're more familiar with the poll function on Zoom than myself. So
yeah, so we have just a few questions just to actually, so we've got a little bit of context about Amazon. So let's ask, how you actually use the Amazon really product. So the first question that you're gonna see on a screen is just yes, no answer really. So no difficult question. Let's have a little bit of fun. So you've got a question. Have you ever bought a product on Amazon.pl in Poland? So yes, or maybe not yet. Maybe that's something in the future. So there you go. I think it's coming up very quickly. So I'm glad the poll is working, and I can see that.
No, I have never bought anything from Amazon.
I believe that.
I've actually never done it. I need to do it.
Yeah,
I need to do
hopefully
it. Yes.
soon.
Thank you.
I've heard that we offer a really good deal on Prime in Poland. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
So I just want to share results, guys, and everyone else, just so we can see on the screen. So yes, it's half and half actually. Half people on our call, which is about 100 people. So there is some numbers ever bought any product on Amazon.pl, half not. So that's very interesting. Now, okay, stop sharing the results. I'll have another questions to ask, and let's try this one. So, do you use Amazon business account? Do you have Amazon? Do you use business account on Amazon? And results are coming very quickly. Half of the answers we already have. And by the way, I think we have resolved the issue with the chat, and chat can you can chat. You can use the chat to comment on this. Which is fantastic. So that's it. And I'm ending the poll, 70% of answers and 30% yes, 70% no. So I think we will be very much relevant today about discussing this. And the final poll, just as Nick mentioned, Prime was launched 2006, yes, in the UK, 2007. I was about to be right. So the another questions we have is this, and is that why can't I just launch this one? I don't know why. System do not allow me to do so. It's just save questions. I won't be able to do so, and it's allow is to vote. Don't know. There is a question, but I cannot launch this. Paul, can you see that, Paul? Do you look for the Prime badge on shop? No, there is not. No. It's grey out. I won't be able to add. So maybe we'll ask questions after that.
Actually, I think so. I've launched it now, Bart. I think we didn't stop sharing the previous one.
There you go. So do you look for the Prime badge when you shop on Amazon?
Okay, interesting results coming through. And it's interesting for us just to kind of understand customers. So both as we just saw on the whether you use a business customer account to shop on Amazon, which I think 70% said no. And
Nick, are you there with us? And Paul? and show results. I think we lost Nick, but there you go. I'm sharing the results. Basically, it's nearly half and half.
Right.
So
Yeah.
40%. So more people in favor of not looking at the Prime badge.
Okay, very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, apologies, I dropped there for a second. I was saying it's certainly interesting for us to see people's shopping habits. And yeah, these are things we frequently hear of. You know, there are some customers who strictly will filter just to have Prime badge because they want that next day delivery and the guarantees that come with it. But it seems like the audience here is more impartial. Great. Okay, we have interesting results, and hopefully, once Rob and I have run through the Amazon Business Marketplace and all the benefits and things available to business customers there, maybe we'll see the numbers change on how many people shop with a business account. Okay, great. So yeah, next slide. Again, here we go. This is getting around to sort of the more practical part of how you can register on Amazon. So it's very straightforward to go and find the link to sell on Amazon. You simply Google sell on Amazon. I think we've also included the link in the resources at the end of this. But on the left, you have sort of running through what the options may be when you choose to register. So there's the selling plan you pick. And in fact, actually here, there are two selling plans. There's a professional seller plan that's detailed there, and there's also an individual seller plan. So that's something I think would probably not be relevant to most of the attendees today, as they're businesses looking to sell on Amazon. Whereas, of course, the individual selling plan is more meant for a person, an individual, selling a few items here and there. And it's therefore limited with the number of listings, charges for more listings. So in reality, if you're a business selling on Amazon, you would want a professional seller plan. So then you can choose whether you register in the UK or Poland. This is actually something now I probably recommend registering in Poland because the marketplace is there. In reality, I'm not sure how much of a difference it would make because through an account registered in the UK or Poland, any other European country, through that one account, you're able to sell across Europe and to every marketplace in Europe. So I imagine picking Poland could be more convenient, and I don't know if perhaps like communication is in Polish, but that's probably what we recommend. And then finally, there's the selling plan fee. So seller plan is sort of like the subscription for being on Amazon, and there it's yeah, I mean you have the prices there excluding VAT per month. Probably also, we haven't put it here, but probably also important to mention, and again, it's included in the resources at the end of this presentation. While that's the fees for your rolling subscription to be on Amazon, there are referral fees, which is a percentage Amazon takes off each sale. And so those range from between 7 to 15%, and that depends on which category you're selling in. So those are important fees to be aware of. And like I said, you'd be able to find a link with all the detail on those fees later in the presentation. And so there again, on the right, you have the requirements to register. So as you're registering what you would need, there's some paperwork there. So for example, having a passport or national ID, it's important for the KYC, know your customer, where Amazon run checks to make sure all sellers on the site are legitimate and are going to provide a good customer experience.
Nick, are there any limitations in terms of what passport you can use or the ID? Does it have to be like a British?
Good question. No, they don't need to belong to any particular country. So obviously for passport, I believe any country will be fine. And then your national ID, I think it's as long as it's a widely accepted form of ID. So over here in the UK, it'd be a driving license probably is the best form of ID. And that could be the same in Poland. So yeah, they're the basic piece of information you would need to get registered. And the registration process, what you see there in front of you, can be very straightforward and maybe take 15 or 20 minutes. Great. I think there are any questions on that. So if we have the next slide, please, Bart. Okay, great. Yeah. So then we're moving into something I believe is relevant for a lot of the attendees today, brand registry. So brand registry, you'll find a lot of resources on this. Like I said, again, the links at the end of the slide. And if you search online and look through Amazon Seller University, brand registry is how you can control your brand on Amazon and have the right to control a number of things that you see there below. So these there are what I've pulled are the key benefits of being a brand owner. So one key thing there as well is it gives you, I mean, you can see their report of violation, automated protections. It means you have a lot of rights that prevent anybody else from listing your product on Amazon. So again, that's something with Amazon always comes back to the customer experience, that you don't want people being sold counterfeit goods or goods that they shouldn't be allowed to sell. So those are kind of the benefits you're entitled to through brand registry. And I think if we have the next slide, please, Bart, then we have, again, the more practical steps on how you register for that. So yeah, the two sort of essential requirements there are having an active registered trademark. And detailed in the second point, that has to be from one of the official organizations that distribute this. So in Poland, I believe that's through the EU. And over here in the UK, there's a separate entity that issues those trademarks. As you see there, they also accept brands that have a trademark pending. But yeah, more details on this can be found online. So one also important thing here is that there can be, and again, I think this potentially could be relevant to people attending, tiers of brand ownership. So for example, one thing we're aware is quite common is when you have the distribution rights for a brand in a country. So I believe it may be the case that there are people attending this call today who have the exclusive rights to distribute a brand in the UK. So through the brand registry, there are ways you can claim the rights for a product. So you can create listings under that brand name, report violations, everything you just saw in the previous slide. Even if you're not the brand owner, but if you are an authorized, an authorized brand owner, authorized distributor. So there's a way you can apply, like I said, sort of tiers of ownership of the brand, where if you're the exclusive distributor in the UK, you can claim those necessary rights over the brand. Okay, I think that covers everything on brand registry for now.
If I can just pick up one question from Piotr, basically about the brand registry, so it's very much relevant. The question is this registry a global one for all countries?
It's a good question. I believe, well, it certainly can be if, kind of what I was just mentioning there, if you have the rights for that brand in all countries. So again, that can be down to sort of case-by-case basis. There may be certain brands where a different entity has the rights in one country to another country. But if you have the rights for that brand in every country, then yes, it can apply across all marketplaces.
And the second question, should the registration be done by brand owner, or it can be done by a sole distributor in a given market?
Yeah, again, it's a good question. So to register the brand in the first place, I believe that needs to come from the brand owner, or I think it can be the case that if it's a distributor, they could create that brand on Amazon with evidence from the brand owner. So often that takes the form of a letter that details that from the brand owner, that details that the seller is authorized distributor, has rights to the brand in this marketplace.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay, here we go. So now this is, again, more practical step of how you can list products. So as you can see, there are actually quite a few routes you can take to get your products onto Amazon. And they come with kind of varying levels of convenience or complexity and can provide sort of different benefits. So on the left there, we have what I put down as the manual listing process. So this is where you can go into Seller Central. Seller Central is the portal through which you sell on Amazon. And through there, you can add a single product. So you can either add into your inventory a product that already exists on Amazon. And so that process is really quite straightforward because the listing, the page is already there. And you can do that on a sort of case-by-case basis, one by one. You search for the product, you find it, you click on it, and you list against it. Or you can, through a file you upload, bulk upload a number of products. So I guess what's relevant to both of these actually is the identifiers that are used on Amazon, how the Amazon catalog is managed. So on that, as I put with the asterisk at the bottom, the two key identifiers on Amazon are the EAN code, so the barcode that many products are issued with, or the ASIN. So ASIN is the Amazon Standard Identification Number. So that's the sort of internal number that Amazon uses to control the catalog, and every listing on Amazon will have an ASIN. So you can find out the ASINs relatively easily through Seller Central. You search up a product just by, say, you know the product you're after, you search for it, you can find it, and you'll see the ASIN. Or similarly, you may have, yourself, you may have a catalog with the EANs of the product you list. So those apply both when it's to adding a single product. You can also search by the barcode or the ASIN. But if you're bulk uploading through a file, then you must have the EAN or the ASIN. There's a column on the file that will ask for either of those identifiers. Then the third point there is the Build International Listings tool. So once listings are up and in your inventory, you can then, say you uploaded them to the Polish marketplace, this Build International Listings tool allows those listings to then be copied and put onto every other marketplace you choose. So it's not the case that you then also have to go and upload those products again in France or Germany or the UK. Amazon will simply replicate them across every marketplace you choose to enable. And it also then synchronizes the stock levels and the price. So importantly there as well, it can convert the price. So if you've listed in Germany, listed in euros, it will convert it to pounds in the UK or to whatever the relevant currencies are. So that's a really helpful tool that allows you to upload into one marketplace and then copy across wherever you want to list with that all synchronized. So that covers sort of manual listings. I guess important to mention as well that the Build International Listings tool can also apply if you list through an automated method. So here on the automated listing, we have two primary ways you can go about that. And the first one is probably actually the most common method that at least I see in my role. And I think that's really because of the convenience it offers. So there are a number of e-commerce platforms that I'm sure people might be familiar with. So something like a Shopify or a WooCommerce, any of these software packages that allow you to build a website and an e-commerce platform. And a feature of many of those is that they can provide a multi-channel sales platform. That means they can plug into Amazon or even other sites where you may like to sell. So with a lot of these, you can very simply, if you're managing listings, price, quantity, your order management as well, through one of these tools, it can be very straightforward to add them into Amazon. So it's something actually that's strictly because it's third-party software. The more information on this sits with whatever e-commerce platform provider you may be using. But it's important to be aware that if you're using one of them, it's worth checking if you can simply integrate it into Amazon. And then, like I said, a big benefit there is the convenience that you have one sort of true source of your stock and your pricing, and that can go out into many sales channels. And say you receive a sale on Amazon, that then obviously reflects in what's your true stock and is updated wherever else you may be listing. So that's one method, but like I said as well, for a lot of that, the responsibility lies with the service provider there, not with Amazon. And then the second point is one that has more complexities. And for this, really, you require a developer. But that's because you can write your own API integration into Amazon. So yes, for this, somebody with relatively advanced developing skills is required. But if you have your own sort of an FTP file, your own way of keeping stock and price, and you're not using a third-party piece of software, it is possible to develop your own integration and write that into to connect with your Amazon inventory. Okay, great. I think that's everything for listing products. So next slide, please, Bart. Okay, great. Yeah, so here, now we're moving on to the world of fulfillment and fulfillment by Amazon. So, it's something, again, I'm sure many of you are aware of, and hopefully you're customers of fulfillment by Amazon. But below you see the very rough overview of how you can enroll on fulfillment by Amazon, ship your products into an Amazon warehouse, and have Amazon deliver them. So again, here, there's quite a bit of detail. So I thought it'd be helpful to have all the relevant links in there, which you can follow up on and find out whatever it may be that you need to know about this process. The benefits, again, something I hope people might see as a customer, but the benefits are that Prime badge on your listings. So we saw in the room earlier, I can't remember the exact numbers, but that's something, was it about 40% of you said you look for the Prime badge when you're shopping? We know it's something customers love, and we know there's a higher conversion rate on products that are in FBA and have that Prime badge. And then, of course, you also have the added convenience of being able to take a sort of hands-off approach to your delivery, with that all being in the hands of Amazon, who take care of the packing, the sorting, the shipping, and yeah, of course, the delivery. So like I said, there's the step-by-step guide with any links in that you may need to follow up on. And yeah, I think these slides will be shared with you. And again, as mentioned, at the end of the presentation, there are even further links. And we have one more slide as well on FBA that covers some of the keys of questions or considerations that were flagged in questions submitted before by the attendees. So I know that the VAT requirements for this was something a lot of people wanted to hear about and can be a complicated area. What we have there are the requirements for a VAT number in the UK if you meet those criteria. So I think it's something, it's likely, I think you should see the way that you will want a UK VAT number, and that's because it becomes a requirement once your sales in the UK exceed an £85,000 threshold. So that then becomes a requirement for a VAT number, and yeah, that's also the case if the goods are stored in the UK, which if you're inbounding to a fulfillment center in the UK, they of course will be. There's also the link to a very helpful page on this at the end of the presentation that will probably run through it in much better detail than I can. Then secondly, the costs. The costs, there's two sort of primary bases on how you're charged. So one is the fulfillment fee, which is the actual cost once a product is shipped. So essentially there's a shipment cost. And I mean, as with both the costs, that obviously depends on the size and weight of the product. And there's, I mean, the breakdown of all these fees is available online. And there's actually quite a helpful calculator as well, where so you have a product in mind, you know what you're going to list, it's already on Amazon. You can put that product into the calculator and see what the fulfillment fees look like. Yeah, so that's the fulfillment fee when a product is shipped. And then as an ongoing charge, there's the storage fee, simply for having the product in the Amazon warehouse, which is charged per month. And again, of course, depends on the dimensions of the product. And then we have inbounding. And this is something that, of course, has been made quite a bit more complicated since Brexit, where there are now, of course, custom barriers between the EU and the UK. So this is something currently for sellers in the EU wanting to inbound to the UK, there's no program offered by Amazon in that, unlike with the Pan-EU program. I don't know, again, that's something attendees might be familiar with, but for Pan-EU, so just within the EU, you can inbound into a fulfillment center, just the one in Europe, but from there it can ship to a customer anywhere in Europe. Unfortunately, a program like that isn't available for the UK due to the customs arrangements. So the product has to be, if you want it to be on FBA in the UK, you have to inbound, you have to send the products into a fulfillment center in the UK. And that's something at the moment, as said there, the seller is responsible for that process of getting the product into the fulfillment center. And it's something, again, given the complexities, it's often recommended that you see the advice of a customs agent who can support on this and run you through the process. Okay, great. And then the next slide, please, Bart. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Rob, our favorite topic coming up, Amazon Business. So here you have some of the sort of top line stats on the Amazon Business Marketplace and the B2B market in general. So I think we can probably both say it's a very exciting team to work in. That's because it's a relatively new part of Amazon. So as it says, and it doesn't say there actually, but I believe Amazon Business only launched in 2017, at least in the UK.
That's
only
correct.
Launched in 17,
Yes, and I think it was 2015 or 16 in America.
Okay. So yeah, that really makes it one of the younger parts of Amazon.
However, if you really want to get to the to the root of Amazon Business, we actually, I don't remember the name of the company, but we actually took over a company that used to fulfill B2B in, I think, 2007 or 9. Mm-hmm. So it's like it tracks down, tracks back to like many years before, and then we rebranded it to Amazon Business. But this is just like detracting from the main topic of the presentation.
So even I'm learning something here today. That was news to me. But yeah, as Business as we know it from 2017. And so this came out of the fact really that Amazon could see that even though the website was built for the individual consumer, they could see more and more the businesses were using it to carry out some of their procurement. So realizing that, they've built the Amazon Business Marketplace, and this then offers everything that business customers would want through a procurement channel. So we'll come to that on the next slide, but I think one thing that's very important to mention here and to clarify is that really, even though we talk of the Amazon Business Marketplace, it is the same marketplace. So as a seller, you just list on Amazon. The difference comes from the customer side. So that's as well why we asked whether any of you in attendance today use an Amazon Business customer account, because then you will see that even though it's the same marketplace, you view it differently as a business customer. So there are some small differences on how you see the page, but really it's the key features that we'll come to on the next slide that are the different view available to businesses. So it's the same marketplace, same products, same seller. The only thing is the different features available to the customer. So here we have, I think, what are really the key pillars of Amazon Business. And these are, again, the offers you can make exclusively to business customers. So yeah, I mean, this is a lot of what Rob and I deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah, because I think what's important to mention, I don't think, Nick, you have mentioned that. So I think just to make everyone on the call aware is that if and when you decide to sell on Amazon as a third-party seller, you have a choice of who you actually will be selling to. So obviously you have the B2C, so you sell to individual customers, and then you have B2B, where you sell to business customers. And the thing is, you actually must sell to B2B. There is no way you can opt out of selling to B2B. So B2B is a default, and it always is on. So you need to be mindful that when you decide to become a seller on Amazon, your listings will always be visible to businesses. And the B2C part of your audience is optional. So you can actually check or uncheck whether you sell to consumers. So I think that's important to remember, is that you might think of consumers as your default audience, but you will always have a business side, business audience looking at your listings as well.
Yeah, I think it's a very good point and a good clarification there on how you sell to business customers.
Yeah, and maybe if I can just add like final point just on the slide, since we are on this slide. So maybe a little bit more context why the Amazon business experience is different from the Amazon consumer experience. As you know, obviously many of you, if not everyone on the call, you have your own business or you manage a business on behalf of someone else, and you know that the purchasing decisions, the procurement decisions that you make day in, day out, where you are sourcing your printing paper, where you are sourcing your computers, where you are sourcing your IT accessories, things like that, the daily decisions that you or your teams have to make, they are not always based on price, or they are not always based on the convenience or the fastest delivery, right? We understand that the business consumer, the business customer has different needs and requirements, and obviously we understand that oftentimes business customers buy in bulk, not single items, as obviously you prefer to have one shipment instead of 50 or 100 shipments if possible. You also require VAT invoices if you are able to claim the VAT back. Obviously, you also oftentimes when you want to make a bigger purchase, you require sometimes, of course, depending on the level of spend, you require a formal RFQ, so request for quote or request for proposal, RFP. So that's also an option that we can satisfy through Amazon Business. And sort of turning this question around, or turning this story around, obviously Amazon provides all these features, but at the end of the day, you as a seller, if a business customer will buy from you, you will also be part of this process. So to give you an example, if we receive an RFQ from a business customer for, let's say, for, I don't know, 100 bottles of wine, I think it's a very random example, but let's say there's some kind of big conference and the customer needs to buy 100 bottles of wine or cases of wine, then everyone, all of the sellers that sell this specific item, or an item that is sort of in the same family. So let's say you might be looking for red wine, but maybe actually also, you might be quoted white wine as an addition. So all of the sellers within that category that meet the right requirements will be actually asked to provide a quotation. So if you think about selling in bulk, so not only buying in bulk as a customer, but you're also thinking about selling in bulk, that is also a great opportunity to sort of be exposed to business customers through that. So I don't want to bore anyone else and you anymore. But basically this is what I was just wanted to add a little bit more flavor, as in why do we even talk about Amazon Business as a different experience, right? It is actually a very different experience, at least from the service that you are getting. Marketplace is exactly the same, but yeah, there's just much more depth to it.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's really helpful, and that's why it's great having Rob here, because he's really the expert on everything the customer sees, and yeah, kind of the offerings he detailed there. The benefits as well. I guess it's a big part of the benefits and what Amazon offers to be able to draw in more business customers. How we make it a really appealing place to go about procurement. So yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Rob. And I guess I'll touch on that a little bit with some of these points on what it actually is, or what it looks like for a seller, and how you can offer to business customers. So the first one there on pricing is there are sort of two key functions or features you can offer exclusively to business customers. So only a company registered with a Amazon business customer account can access these offers. It's not available to B2C. So that you can have a different price available to business customers. And that has to be lower than the typical price, but it's there to incentivize business customers who, I mean, they make for great customers. I think we're allowed to say that they return at a lower rate and they tend to come back to sellers and buy in higher quantities. So that's why that's available, to offer a different price just to them. Similarly, again, exclusively to business customers, you can offer quantity discounts. So this is something that's really great. A lot of the sellers I work with see a lot of value in this because they're very happy to be making sales quantities of 5 units, 10 units, 50 units. And for those high quantity sales to business customers, they're happy to offer a small reduction in fees. We know that's the way these kind of sales work off of Amazon. So that feature is now in place there, that you can offer a percentage or a currency amount off 5 tiers of quantity. So you can choose your 5 tiers. Say I want to do an offer on 3 units, 5 units, 10 units, 50 units, 100 units. If there's 5 tiers, and you can put in 5% off on this, 7% off on this, 10% off. So it's a great way of appealing to business customers who are looking to purchase in higher quantities. And it's one way as well, if I'm honest. Say you're listing a product where you're competing with other sellers, and say maybe on a one-off price, you can't compete with what the price they're offering to customers. It might be the case for one product, but perhaps on 5 units or 10 units, you are more competitive. And so it's a good way there of kind of winning more sales. So the second one, again, is something more driven by the customer side to make things easier for business customers. And that's that invoices are or can be automated to business customers. So to enable this, you enter your VAT number into Seller Central, and you choose to agree and activate the VAT calculation service. So this is something that can be convenient for the seller, but it's primarily there to make things easier for business customers looking to do their procurement on Amazon. So that's something that certainly helps your visibility and win more purchases from business customers if you have that enabled. And then finally, and this is something I guess that I think Rob's probably more of an expert on, but it's the way Amazon is looking to expand into the sort of more exceptional high quantity orders. So, I mean, yeah, as Rob kind of detailed, businesses will come to Amazon wanting to buy a particularly high quantity, and they may want a number of quotes from different sellers, and this is how they go about it, really. So if you access Seller Central, there's a tab B2B, where you can see managed quotes, which is where offers will be circulated with you when a customer has come forward and requested 50 units, 100 units of what you've offered, and you can reply with your best offer for that quantity. Yeah, I don't know anything else you want to add to that, Rob? I think you already went through that in detail.
I can say that from my experience. So just to give a little bit more context, as just to sort of maybe take you a little bit behind the curtain, how it all works. So actually last year, the process of managing quotes was much more manual than it is now. So as you can see on the slide, it's called Custom Quoting Engine, CQE. That was introduced earlier this year for the whole of Europe. And that's, from my experience, from what I can see, it's actually a great way of self-serving for both the buyers, the customers, because they actually just, it's like an automatic RFQ where they basically input all the information that they require, and the quote is then sent to us, and then we basically distribute these RFQs, these requests for quotations, to sellers through the Seller Central and through CQE as a tool. And then when you respond, the customer, so assuming that you actually want to make that deal happen and you respond with your best price, the customer that raised this request, they get your quote via email. So they are notified immediately if you made them an offer. And if they want to accept it, they can literally just click on a link in the email, and it takes them to a basket, pre-populated basket, and the only thing they need to do is just to pick the mode of payment, and then they pay, and the order goes into fulfillment. So it's as simple as that, but I just wanted to let you know that actually we've introduced this new tool this year. It's proving to be working well, as in it just makes the whole process much easier. I'm sure there will be more development, more new tools coming, in 2024 and 25 and beyond. I think we like saying this at Amazon, that we are still early. We always say it for everything, and I think this applies here even more, that we are still very early, and I'm sure there will be more innovations to come.
Great. Yeah, no, Rob's gone over that in great detail. It's actually something I think we'd probably both say is perhaps the most exciting thing we work on here at Amazon. And it's actually kind of the link between our teams, in that I see that sellers really love it because it's a great way of receiving these kind of exciting high quantity orders. And then again, as Rob ran over, it's something that makes for a very convenient request for quote process for the customer. And yeah, something that's been growing very quickly, even just the last year. And we hope will be an exciting space on Amazon going forward. Perfect. So the next slide, please, Bart. Okay, yeah. So we've actually come through to the end of this kind of brief overview of how to get up and going on Amazon and what to look for. Here are some of the links we pulled together that I think could be helpful, perhaps certainly go into more detail than we just have now, and perhaps answer some of the questions you may have. As you'd see there as well, there's the first Sell on Amazon link, and underneath it's Seller University. So those are both very general sites under which you can find really a great amount of information on pretty much everything Amazon. And like I said at the start, I do think we do quite a good job of this, of having great resources available to sellers to make it easy and straightforward and explain whatever you may need explained. So there's those links, and then beyond that, there are the ones that are more specific to some of the questions that were submitted for this. The page on VAT requirements in the UK, that again would have been written by somebody with greater expertise than me, and go into the real details there. And then everything else on the brand registry, how you go about that, advertising we had there as well, and some more information on listing.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We've got plenty of questions. Obviously, we won't be able to answer to them all, but I've just picked up a few. Obviously, HubSpot, Amazon is massive, and the way that we all work with that might not be that you will be able to answer directly. However, maybe some resources you can provide. Magda asked whether EAN or ACAN, so that numbers are basically enough to list the product, or you need a photo of the product itself.
Yes. That's a very good question, because that's something I probably should have covered. What I described was how you can list when there already is the page on Amazon. And so to understand that for a lot of businesses looking to add their own products, that's not the case. Your listing isn't there. So for that method, you would follow the first point I put, where you choose to add a product. But in that case, then, there's the option you can add by the EAN, the ASIN, if the product's already on Amazon. If it's not, there's an option to create the listing on Amazon. So for that, then, it's actually detailed in one of the links we added, but then you, of course, need to provide further information to fill out the detail page. So there, of course, you have to provide an image. And in fact, with everything in terms of creating a listing, it really is the case that the more information you provide, as long as it's high quality, the better. So if you can provide 5 or 6 high quality photos, that's better than 1. If you can provide 3 bullet points, that's better than 1. But yes, if you're creating a new product, which you would do through that method, add a product, and then it says something like, I'm creating a product that's not already on Amazon, you then have to provide images, bullet point, the SKU you use for it, so that's in your inventory with that SKU. And there'll be a couple of other pieces of basic information as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. So as